All right, good morning everybody. Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about 3 things to help you keep organized. Now I had thought about this video back when I was working on blue behind me because as you guys know, it stretched over about 6 weeks start to finish. I took a lot of the truck apart and I had a lot of things apart for a long time. And if you've been in this game as long as I have, you realize that you take something apart for a day, maybe 2, 3, it's not too bad putting it together. But when it stretches for weeks, 2 weeks at a time, you're doing a motor swap, you're doing a big interior job, you're waiting on a part, it's easy to get disorganized, it's easy to forget where you put things, and if you do a few things, you could really kind of just boom, go right around those issues. So that's what I want to talk about today, how to stay organized. If you're one of these guys whose toolbox just has stuff piled on top of it and tools are everywhere and there's like no real method to the madness, if you're one of those guys to begin with, these will help you, but take the one day to pull your toolbox apart. Sockets here, screwdrivers here, this tool here, metric to standard, organize that stuff. Do that. So if you're one of those guys, and you know who I'm talking to, the pig pen type of guy where shit's just piled all over your toolbox like crazy, clean that up. Start there. So that's my first tip. If you're not organized, take some time to get organized. And going back to what I was talking about, when you're taking things apart, when you're working on things that are going to be going on for days, if not weeks, depending on the term and the length of your project. Just last week, I did a motor swap on Chevy Malibu. So with doing that motor swap, what I have here, that's an old, nut and bolt kit that I bought years ago, needed basic stuff. This is not hard, this is not heavy duty hardware. This is just your basic crap, but you never know when you need something. Well, I used up everything in this and I was getting ready to throw this away. This was 4 years ago. So I was doing a motor swap on an 05 Acura MDX 3.5 liter. Dropped the cradle from underneath. It's a big motor, there's a lot of stuff with it. So I made this. Now, I know they sell these. Now, I had decided to make one because I wasn't sure how I was going to keep everything organized because I had to get the motor out. Another motor was getting dropped off, and I was working on it part-time. I knew it was going to be a part for a week. There was no way I was going to do it in one day or one weekend. It just wasn't going to fall like that. So I said, how can I keep organized to make this job go as easy as I can for myself? Now, I did some of the tricks where, you take a bracket off, the bolts that go with that bracket, you put it aside. But sometimes you can't always do that. You can't always put the bolts back right where they go. So I made this. I took this organizer here and I just labeled it. And as I do motor swaps, I add more labels. So you can see where I have, AC bracket bolts, this bolt, that bolt. My writing's not the best, but I know what it says. So that's what I do. I take all the bolts out of whatever it says here. I just drop them in the corresponding, boom. I can close this, it locks. I could drop it. Stuff's not going to spill all over the place, and if I'm taking something apart and it's going to be apart for a while, just stick this on the shelf or stick it in the car I'm working on. Right there. I mean, it cost me whatever this bolt kit was that I used all the hardware out of, so let's say this thing was 20 bucks, and it took me just a little bit of time of filling out what it is. And I've seen a few guys come through my shop to visit, and they see me using this, and they're like, oh wow, I never thought of that. I don't know where I got the idea. I'd love to give credit where credit was due. I don't know where I got this idea. I'd like to tell myself that I came up with it on my own. And maybe at the time I came up with it on my own, but I can't say for certain. Number 2, or actually that's number 1 was getting organized. So you got to start out organized. When I was working on the Dodge, I was taking the fenders off, taking the bed off, taking the whole interior apart. I took a lot of that truck apart. So if you notice, this container says LF fender, left front fender. So whenever I took anything off the left front fender, I just threw it in this container. This is like, a buddy of mine drinks a lot of Crystal Light stuff. You know who you are, you're probably watching the video. You drink a lot of this stuff, he saves these. Actually, I hope, he's got some saved because I'll get them from him. I got boxes of these he's given me over the years. I use these little containers for the nuts and bolts. Like right now, that Lincoln MKT, I got the driver's side door apart. It's gonna be a couple days to get a latch mechanism I need for it. I'm not putting it all back together. I'm gonna throw it outside with the door panel in the back seat and all the switches and stuff in the front seat. And I got this, I'm gonna throw this on the front seat. This is all, just the screws and all the hardware and all the stuff I took off the door panel. It's easy, it's organized, I know what it is. Boom, throw it in the car. Car could sit out for a week. I got all the hardware, there's no questions. I know where it is. It's not scattered all over the floor. It's not thrown in a cup holder. You know, I mean, those work too. You just throw it in the cup holder, but some people's cars are kind of nasty. I hate to say that. They got nasty stuff in their cup holder. You really want to be sticking your hand in there. You have a few of these, you reuse them. You could put a piece of tape and label it with a piece of tape so you could peel it off and throw it away, or you could label it permanently. I mean, obviously I know on the MKT I'm not working on the left front fender. I'm gonna know what this is for. So as far as I can tell you over the years, the hardest thing is going back to a job that's been apart for a while, that you haven't worked on in a while, and if you have, let's say you can make these for cheap. So right here, you're doing a motor, tranny, this is your best friend. Next best friend, you know, drink out of these kind of containers, you buy Crystal Light or whatever these come in, or you know someone that does, tell them, hey, save the containers. Keep your projects going. Don't be one of those guys that's losing screws, losing nuts, losing bolts, always trying to go back to the hardware section in your shop or whatever, going through your toolbox looking, oh, I need this screw, I don't know where I dropped it, I need that. Don't be that guy. Keep organized, keep your tools organized. You'll not lose tools, you won't mess up projects, and you won't lose hardware, and you won't be wasting time, because in this business, time is money. If you're wasting time looking for stuff you lost because you're disorganized, you're just hurting yourself. So hope everybody out there is staying safe. I appreciate it. I'll get back with you guys, okay?